What if you, with purpose and mindfulness, decided to surround yourself with positivity? What if you walked away from negative energy? What if you were constantly the positive energy in every room you walked into until it became so contagious that you positively impacted everyone around you? How would that impact your life? You're listening to Compassionate Mindfulness with Xenia, the podcast that will inspire you to use your story to change the world. Hello, thank you for tuning in and Happy New Year to you. May this and all the years to come bring you an abundance of whatever your heart truly desires. In today's conversation, as part of the Intentional Living season, I share a Mindful Talks with Tanya episode called How Do You Set Boundaries? If you want to catch me live, visit at Xenia Coaching on Instagram or Facebook. Links are in the description. For more ways to live a more intentional life, visit www.xenia.ca/link and explore the different resources I have for you. Also, if you want to go deeper and set yourself up for success, I have a workshop coming up alongside my partner in mindful awareness, Shilpa Lewis, and NSM coach, Kirsten Johnson. Okay, so join the conversation. Let me know what you think, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone. If you are joining me live, say hello. Hello, I'm looking at two different cameras because once again, I am on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. Hello. Say hello as you join, guys. I just wanted to come on real quick. We are fresh into the new year, and from now until April, we're in our season of living a life of intention, intentional living. Now more than ever, we need tools and strategies that will help us adapt and overcome the enormous amounts of stress we are exposed to. So every now and then you will see my face and go live with you guys. Drop a hello if you are joining live. These mindful talks are intended to spark some awareness and start meaningful conversations that will keep us on the right track. The goal is always thriving, not just surviving. And today we talk about being intentional in setting boundaries. So intentional living, but specifically setting boundaries. But before we go into it, let's take a moment to take 2 deep breaths of gratitude. If you haven't done so already, find something, anything you're grateful for, and take 2 deep breaths, holding it at the top and releasing. Go ahead and take another deep breath. Hold it at the top and release. And just that simple act of these little micro meditations, what I like to call them, it just helps so much in just carrying on afterwards once you've started a day kind of frazzled or whatever the case may be. Just taking those 2 deep breaths can be so amazing. So boundaries. What are boundaries? Boundaries can be defined as the limits we set with other people, which indicates what we find acceptable or unacceptable in their behavior towards us. If you're joining me live now, I am looking at 2 cameras because I'm on both medias, Instagram and Facebook. So boundaries, it's what makes us feel safe and comfortable at the end of the day in our life and in our relationships. You can communicate your boundaries through verbal requests, and you can show people through behavioral requests, I guess you can say as well. It makes you feel safe and comfortable. This is very personal, and so it makes it very different for different people. Emotional boundaries, there are all kinds of different boundaries, and there's the emotional ones, the material ones, but the ones that I wanted to talk about and I find so important is the time boundaries. Time boundaries are the ones we have the biggest issues with for ourselves and for others. The expectation that people need to be available on the spot is just not right. And cell phones and social media have increased that tremendously. People expect us to respond right away. And so boundaries are extremely important to maintain good friendships and just to have an overall feeling of comfort within your soul and be intentional about it. We have so much power over our time, but when we allow others to take it away, we start to feel resentful, anxious, annoyed, burnout, overwhelmed, and just frustrated. So, for example, if you are saying to yourself, I'm going to all these places for everyone, and on top of these, on top of it, I don't even like to go to these places, you need to ask yourself if you're setting proper boundaries, right? Because already if you have that feeling, then there's something up with the boundaries and you being able to articulate, no, I don't want to go. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, you just don't do it. We need to have boundaries for what we allow to be on our calendars, for what things we agree to do with people. If you clearly look at the boundaries that you need, you can easily say to someone, I can only chill if it's before 7 p.m. That's like me, and my friends know this. I'm always like the one to like sleep on the speaker in the club. I'm an early sleeper. And so they already know that. I have great friends who understand the boundaries of, Tanya needs to sleep. Or I need to stop working as of this time because I need time with my family. That's another type of boundary. We can then start to change the way we feel about our time, our relationships with people, our work life harmony. It's a huge opportunity to be intentional. Now, how do you communicate your boundaries? Let me know in the comments. If you're joining me afterwards and you're not live, #replay, and let me know how you communicate your boundaries. It's not always easy to communicate things like you're standing too close to me, or I don't want to have lunch with you today. I personally used to have a hard time with things like that, but I don't anymore, mostly because my friends are amazing and they just know that if I don't answer right away, sorry, my phone just is needing a bit of batteries. That's the one on Instagram. Sorry, guys. So one of the most important things to know is that you have to hold yourself accountable for your overbookings or those uncomfortable feelings when you said yes when you should have said no. You have to sit with those feelings and ask yourself what you want to do about it. As uncomfortable as it is to say no sometimes, that fear that the other person is going to react badly or not to your liking, as uncomfortable as that is, it's also uncomfortable when you're doing something you don't really want to do. It leaves you feeling, again, resentful. So choose your discomfort, be conscious of what your values are, then be mindful of how you articulate your boundaries. Communicate with empathy, be mindful, and just be aware of the different cues that people may give you too, because as much as it's uncomfortable for you, it's uncomfortable for others as well when it comes time for them to give you boundaries. So Many people just don't know how to say no. And some people may love, for instance, may love to hug, whereas other people may be extremely uncomfortable with someone coming anywhere near them. They're the ones who would prefer like a fist bump, you know? And if you are mindful, you'll notice some of these boundaries you need to respect right away. Like that friend who hates hugs, you'll see them tense up as soon as you're coming in for a hug and step back. So you just respect that, right? Another way you can be mindful is, say you ask someone to, I don't know, grab something for you on their way back to work. And the answer sounds like, okay. So as soon as you hear that, if you're mindful, you'll detect the hesitation right away. And your next question could be, did you have somewhere else to go? Or please don't worry about it if you can't go, right? Most of the time in general, people understand and respect your boundaries, especially your friends, the real ones anyway. Just don't try to predict the future and figure that the person won't understand. And I actually had a podcast. My podcast used to be hosted on another platform. And so there are a couple of episodes that I haven't published yet. But before I switched, I had an episode about caring versus carrying. And I got some great feedback about that one. And now if you're a carrier, you'll already kind of know what I'm talking about when I say carrying versus caring. Women as nurturers and people who want to be of service to others, we, particularly mothers, tend to take on too much. And this is when caring becomes carrying. We carry our children's pain, our best friend's difficulties, our home life, our responsibilities at work, and the list just goes on. It happened to be around Mother's Day, this episode, and the timeliness was perfect because, as you know, mothers tend to be huge carriers. We care a lot, and we also carry a lot. The episode was a reminder to all the incredible mothers out there to be mindful when caring, because caring can become carrying. And I believe that when those lines are blurred, it's because the boundaries aren't set, they aren't established well enough. And I came across that notion of caring versus carrying through an amazing podcast I listened to, the Mary Forleo podcast. And in the episode, the host was candidly talking to her guest, Hattie Hill, about empowering women in business. And the part that resonated the most with me towards the end of the show was when Miss Hill, who met so many women throughout what she does around the world, consistently came across women who would voice how burdened they were with the responsibilities at home, the responsibilities at work. And so they are, and hence the idea of caring versus carrying. So for most of you mothers out there, I'm sure you're already nodding your head saying, yeah, that's me. It's easy to take on a lot. And so know your boundaries, set them with care, with empathy, just implement them, especially you moms out there. Establishing boundaries is a form of self-care. It definitely is a form of self-care. And speaking of self-care, and all of you beautiful mamas out there, I will be holding space for you every Sunday at 10 a.m. East for quick start your day and week off in stillness and in calm meditations. I'll leave the link in the comments, but you can DM me at any time for information. Of course, I may not answer immediately. Now you know that I time box in order to preserve my energy. With that said, continue to live with compassion and awareness, and find your ways to live with intention. Set your boundaries. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to go even further with finding ways to live intentionally, check out www.xenia.ca/links and click on the MMM workshop that we will be hosting at the end of the month, hopefully at the end of the month. And that's just going to be an amazing workshop with some amazing people. But if you can't make it to that and you're a mama that needs to take a couple of deep breaths, register for the free meditations on Sunday. With that said, many blessings. Have an amazing day. Bye, guys. As always, I thank you for tuning in. These episodes are meant to be of massive value to you, and so I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, all I ask in return is for you to give it a thumbs up, give it some love in the reviews, share with 1 or 2 friends whom you know will benefit from hearing this content. Check out the links in the description. Continue to lead with empathy, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Many blessings.